Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praise to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray that the Most High blesses this lesson today and gives us more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past in order to understand the events that are currently happening on the earth. So let me understand more so what is soon to come on the earth. Been dealing with some technical difficulties, but think we're getting it together. Been praying and seeking direction and everything else, and just being patient for the Most High. And I think that he was kind of blocking me from this last video. I'm still going to bring out in the future because there's some other information that he's blessed me with. This beautiful sister got in contact with me last week and let me know that the Holy Spirit had instructed her to give these books to me so that I could bring some of this information out to the nation. And she has a very interesting story. These very old Jewish encyclopedias are close to about almost 120 years old. And there's going to be a lot of nuggets of information that will definitely support many of the truths that the Most High is bringing out. And it's kind of funny because of what's happening as far as certain groups trying to break down the validity of the Book of Mormon as far as being our books. And this sister here was actually part of the GOCC movement. And one of the elders that was with GOCC was talking about how he wanted to get his hands on these encyclopedias. Well, the sister, she actually got in contact with GOCC, said she had some of these encyclopedias, and she wanted to give them these to them. But the brothers of GOCC never got back to her. So they've been with her for a while now. So recently, she asked the Holy Spirit again, who should she give these books to? And the Holy Spirit instructed her to give them to myself. And last week, she contacted me. And I told her I would definitely be happy to get these books and be able to go through them and see what nuggets of information I could get out of there. I get out of these books by the power of the Holy Spirit in order to bring to the nation. And I was told I was going to have some time this week to come and pick them up from her. And then we kind of stopped talking, and then something came on my spirit and said, you need to get these books sooner. You need to get this information sooner. So I contacted the sister again, and we made arrangements to get these books together, and I just picked them up. Started sharing them, started studying them yesterday. Starting getting quite a bit of information out of these books. I just wanted to share one small little, one of the nuggets that I already got out of this book. And, the thing is that you gotta understand is a long time ago when the other nations had all pretty much, picked through our heritage and all taken their part and, taken a lot of our heritage and assumed our identity. It was okay for them to bring out a lot of this information. It gave them a lot of pride when people assumed our identity, when they started to practice our culture, and they all took it as part of theirs. They were quick to still bring out a lot of this information. As long as the world thinks that they're the people, and that this was originally with them, they're quick to to share all this stuff because they get a lot of pride when people have to come to them in order to get clarification on things. But they know full well this isn't their information. But they still get pride when people have to go and bow down to them and try to get knowledge and understanding from them. So in a lot of these older books, like this one here, is going to have a lot of information that people were definitely happy to share with everyone. And what we're going to talk about is, well, before I read this, I've been led to talk about Og, the giant. Talked about the 100,000 giant war. Talked about the last words before Moses and the battle with Moses and the Hebrews, and before Og was eventually killed. But did you know that Og actually had dealings with Abraham? Og actually knew Abraham and Sarah. See, these are the kinds of things that these guys were quick and definitely open to share back then. These books are actually, I think, published around 1900s, late 1800s. So at that time, they were definitely still willing to share a lot of this information because it brought a lot of pride to these Gentiles. So what we're going to read a little bit is they're actually referring to the tablets of Enoch and the information that Enoch had. And this information was passed down from their posterity. So the kids, the children of this particular line had this information, and it was passed down from generation to generation. And at times, our people would lose their original languages because we were living with different groups of people. So it was necessary for the Most High to give knowledge and understanding, give the languages back in order for us to be able to read these tablets. This is actually something that's actually come from other books that I've read as well. So this is just more confirmation that they use like the Urim and the Thummim to actually get our old tablets and our old writings and to be able to decipher them into different languages. That was actually one of the the uses of the Urim and the Thummim that the priests had, and they would keep it behind the breastplates, and they would use it for many different things. They'd also use it for divination. They would also use it for making important decisions or confirming things that were told to them by angels and things like that as well. So like I said, there's a whole lot of other things that are coming out, and then Most High is just giving more confirmation with other books. See, these other nations are familiar with this information with our books because they have them. So they'll give us a little bit of information here and there. But if you only read the Bible, you would never know that Og actually had dealings with Abraham. Like I said, this is mind-blowing information. Once you realize that you can actually start going out of other books and start getting more understanding, your world will be blown and you will get so much more knowledge and understanding. Now, come to find out, we got people who were talking about how there was no such thing as giants. Now we're realizing that there was giants that were having battles before the flood. There was giants after the flood. That were battling. There was giants that were having dealings with Abraham, dealings with Sarah, dealings with Moses. And as you can see, anything antediluvian, the vast majority of the world doesn't want to talk about. Now, as you can tell why, because pretty much many of the things before the flood, the world was in chaos. And everything was upside down. We had fallen angels. We had monsters. We had half men, half animals. We had giants. The world was a mess. So, the people or the spirits are going to want to hide all that. They're going to want to make sure that people don't realize that's how things were before the flood. Take a look here. So it was absolutely amazing because GOCC wanted these books, and it never worked out that way. And these books have been sitting, waiting for a time as this. And that's what's absolutely amazing. Now just take a look at a couple of things, just a couple of pages from these Jewish encyclopedias. Let's see if it's going to work. All right, let's take a look here at the bottom. Actually, we're going to start here at the top. All right. When in the night of the new moon of Tishri, the new year, Abraham was watching the stars to forecast the year's fertility. The revelation came to him that in view of the Most High's omnipotent will, all astrological predictions were valueless. And after fervent prayer, he received word from the Most High to leave the Chaldeans and set out on his mission to bless the nations by teaching them the higher truths. An angel of the Most High taught him Hebrew, the language of revelation, by which he was enabled to decipher all the secrets of the ancient books. So apparently back then, there's ancient books, there's ancient understanding, and that they needed Hebrew in order to be able to decipher this ancient understanding. And Abraham didn't know that. He didn't know that language. So an angel came and taught it to him. This actually also happened to Joseph, because before Joseph could become second in command, he needed to learn all of the languages of all the different nations, and he didn't know them. So an angel went to Joseph and did the same thing overnight. So one day Joseph didn't know all these languages, and the next day he did. So when you hear people talking about how could someone who didn't go to these colleges learn these languages, they talk about that with Joseph Smith. If the Most High wants someone to give someone a job, he's going to give them the tools to perform that job, and he's going to send angels to prepare people for whatever job and whatever the things that they're supposed to do. Let me continue here. An angel of the Most High taught him Hebrew, the language of revelation, by which he was enabled to decipher all the secrets of the ancient books. Leaving his brother Nahor with his father, Abraham went to the Holy Land and observed there all the festivals and new moons, afterward prescribed to the Israelites, but already written in the heavenly tablets revealed to Enoch. So this stuff was already prescribed to the Israelites and already written on these heavenly tablets that was revealed to Enoch. But see, when people keep saying, well, Enoch, we don't have his books, we don't have his writings. Yeah, we might not, but let's look at what we do have. Let's look at these other books that actually has nuggets of information, golden nuggets all over the place. Let's continue. Besides many other customs observed by the priesthood of the 2nd century BC, according to one opinion, Abraham attained the true knowledge of the Most High when he was 3 years old, according to the others at 10. And again, a more sober opinion. Opinion claims that he was 48 years old. Now it kind of cuts off right there. I don't have the book right in front of me, so let me go ahead and skip to the next page. We got other kings. Now check this out right here. Abraham cast dust upon them, and it turned into swords and lances, and the stubble turned into bows and arrows. Og the giant, king of Bashan, was the one that escaped and brought him the news of the capture of Lot. Og was of the remnant of the giants that lived before the flood. He cast a lustful eye upon Sarah and hoped to see Abraham killed in the war in order that he might take her to wife. Okay, so right here we have Og coming to Abraham to let him know about Lot being kidnapped. He wasn't doing out of the goodness of his heart. He was doing that so that hopefully Abraham would be killed, and then he could actually wife Sarah. That was just one little small part of information, just way more information, but I just wanted to share that because the Most High had already had it on my spirit to study Og and to bring this information to you guys about the King Og and things like that. And then all of a sudden I start reading this, and there's even more information about Og in this other book that I had not even had access to. But if you got people that aren't going to bring this information out because it's not in the Bible, the Most High is going to make sure that this information doesn't go to them. If you're going to have people that are that were before were open to reading other books, and now they're not, the Most High is going to make sure that these books and these materials get to who He wants to have them, who He's going to use to bring this information out. Like I said, and it wasn't, a coincidence or just by luck. It was all the Most High. And the sister told me that once she, had told after we had our discussion and we were going to get together, um, and she was going to share these books with me. She said the Holy Spirit came on her heavy, and that she knew that the Holy Spirit was confirming what was going on. She was confirming the fact that she was doing the right thing by bringing these books to myself, because the Holy Spirit, the Most High knows they're using me to bring this information to the nation. I don't have an agenda. I'm not trying to make things comfortable for people. I'm not trying to build up a congregation, So therefore, if I'm trying to build up a congregation, I can only talk about certain things that are comfortable. I said, so I'm bringing out the information the Most High gives me, I will bring to you. So if the Most High keeps blessing me with more knowledge, understanding, and giving me more books and more information, I'm going to do my best to bring this information to you. Because ultimately, brethren, this is our history. This is our information. This is our culture. These are the things that our people did. They had interactions with giants. This story should, bring other stories to mind. As you can see, our women were very desirable to these other nations. They were desirable not only to people, they were also desirable to angels, fallen angels. They were also desirable to giants. And even during the time of Abraham, Og was trying to be all conniving in order to try to get his hands on his woman. So like I said, this is what's going on. This is what's been going on. I said, and the Most High has now, because now that we're coming towards the end, and the Most High is working to give us our knowledge and understanding back, he's bringing much more understanding to our people. And he's making sure that we get the materials that is necessary to bring knowledge and understanding back to our people. Now, like I said, our women, I said, apparently they must be bad, because all bad as in a good thing, as in beautiful, as in, men desiring them. I said, because you got all these men who are constantly trying to get at our women. Same thing happened with Abraham, with the Pharaoh. Same thing happened with Dinah being raped by the Hamites, because they wanted to, he wanted to marry her after the fact. And, I said, this has been something that's been going on for a very long time. And once the Gentiles did get a chance to take over our nation, the first thing they did was they separated the men from the women. So because the men, were the head, men were the protectors, men were the ones who were providing and also giving spiritual direction as well. And that's what they took that away. And then they made the women dependent upon the Gentiles. And how all this all works out together is just absolutely amazing. The other night, I was up watching Monsters Ball. If you guys are familiar with that movie with Halle Berry. And it works out absolutely perfect how they show exactly what they've done to destroy our families to the T in that movie. And at the beginning of the movie, Halle Berry's husband is executed. So now his wife is left to fend for herself. And then her son gets hit by a car. So she's, emotionally vulnerable. So because now her husband is gone, her son is gone, and she has nothing. Then I forgot the guy's name. But the other guy who ends up getting with Halle Berry, his dad was really, really racist. I'm sure he's part of the Klan. I think they were all part of guards for the jail. So as you got all these racist people who are already in these positions of authority, and I guess there was a couple of these boys who came to the house who were coming to see his little brother, and the guy pulled out his gun and shot up in the air, shotgun, and made the boys run away. So he was kind of showing he had racist tendencies as well. Well, eventually, this guy falls in love or lust or whatever with Holly Berry. And Holly Berry is already in a very difficult situation because, she has no support. She has no direction. The system has taken away her husband, and she's vulnerable. So she ends up getting with this guy. I can't remember that dude's name. Um, but she gets with him. And so he's taking advantage of his blessing. His blessing, has been this hold on real fast, has been this world. He's got a house. His dad was there. He was living at the house with his father. His father, hold on real fast. Monster Ball. I'm gonna look for this guy's name because I don't want to keep saying this guy, this guy. Let me see. Billy Bob Thornton. There we go. I'm not even know his name in the story, but Billy Bob Thornton. There we go. All right. So, if you look at this dude, I mean, there's no way if this dude didn't have money or some kind of standing that a woman like Holly Berry would get with him. But in this movie, he's got a house. He got a car, gave her a car. He's able to take care of her financially. So she goes with him. All right. And at the end of the movie, Holly Berry's going through her husband's old things and sees a drawing of Billy Bob Thornton. So she realizes that he was one of the guards that was in the prison that was probably it was there when he was executed. So then you look at there's this look on her face of like horror. She can't believe now that she's sleeping with the enemy. She's sleeping with the man now that was responsible for putting her husband to death. And what does she do? Does she leave? Does she pack up her stuff? Does she leave? Does she go? Try to do it on her own? No, because she doesn't feel like she really has any options. So she goes out, sits on the porch at the end of the movie, and eats ice cream with him. But you can see in her face that, she just looks like she's just totally distraught. But as you can see, this is what the society has done. It has set up these Gentiles, given them all the resources, and our women have gone with them because they had no other options. And that movie, like I said, all of this stuff all starts to come together and starts to make sense. They go and get like one of these, generic looking Gentiles and puts them together with one of these absolutely beautiful looking Hebrews. And, showing there's other things that are going on in that movie just, besides that. But that's how they set everything up. Now, back to this lesson, as you can see, how everything is working out. They pit our women and men against each other together, but they know that together as a nation, us men and us women together are unstoppable. These books coming together, I said, this sister actually, you could tell she's very, very bright. She's got a lot of experience. I love to learn from my elders. I love to be able to sit down and just have conversations and just hear their stories. So because there's nothing like life experience. There's only so much that we can learn from books. But to be able to sit down at the feet of our elders and actually just have a conversation with them is an absolute blessing. She was already aware of us being Native Americans. And I'm sure she could teach me quite a bit about that. And so I would definitely love to have time to just sit there and just listen to the stories that she has to tell, as well as other of our brethren that have had a lot more experience than we have. But that's something that these nations have definitely kept away from us. When they were taking over, anyone that knew anything, any of our elders, they separated, or they probably just killed them because they didn't want them passing down any of our knowledge, understanding to the other generations. That's why now right now, so many of our people have absolutely no idea where we originated from, because that was something that was hidden this entire time until the Most High is now bringing it out right now. Now, see, And that's when you go back to these other nations wanting to get with our women. There's plenty of examples of that. They weren't able to at that time because the Most High was on our side and was protecting us. So even though Og had his plan was to hopefully that Abraham would die so that he could have Sarah, that didn't work out like that. But eventually, when they did get their blessing and they got their time to come over and take over our lands and take over our people, they were allowed to have their way with our men and our women and our children. Okay. Now, a brother of mine also, this all kind of connects because they all know the truth. So this brother was actually a good brother of mine who's been, working with me and sharing many books with me and information. We kind of, toss ideas back and forth to each other. He was telling me about that new Star Wars movie. And I said, yeah, I'm going to go and check it out. So I went to go see it a couple days ago, and I came out of it. I'm kind of like, I saw a couple things. He was telling me there was a lot of stuff in it. And I was like, so I was kind of looking and I didn't really see it as much going on. So I was like, okay, I'm going to sleep on it because maybe there's certain things I'm just not, most likely going to show me later on. And so, I slept on it, still didn't really see a whole lot. And then all this information starts coming together with Og and the giants and how everybody, wants our women and wants, to keep us separated from the men and the women. And in the movie, what happened, what I did see was Ren Kylo Ren was told that he was pretty much offered this fleet of Star Destroyers and this army so that he could become like the most powerful man or, in the universe. But what he had to do was he had to kill Rey. So throughout the whole movie, Kylo Ren and Rey have this connection. And they're just connected. Their spirits are connected. But through the whole movie, they're fighting. The last couple of movies, they've been fighting with each other and things like that, but there's a connection there. But at the end, what ends up happening is this. The man, Kylo Ren, and Rey, the woman, come together. And only by coming together are they able to defeat the Emperor. So you try to look now that as they've, really worked hard to keep us separated, there's a reason to that. Because they know that once our men and our women come together, that we'll be undefeated. We will definitely be a force to be reckoned with. We will be a force that they will not be able to contend with. But so long as they keep us fighting with each other, not respecting each other, not respecting the power that each of us has, and then bringing that power and understanding together, we will be able to become the nation that the Most High has set up for us. So that was one of the things here. What happened to my notes? Okay, hold on real fast. Most High, they're trying to really mess up my video here. All right. So, the main thing is over all this time, they've been trying to keep them fighting. Throughout all these movies, Kylo Ren and Rey have been fighting with each other, trying to kill each other and everything else. And then come to find out at the end that they needed to actually come together in order for them to be successful in liberating the universe. And that's exactly what has happened even till today. I said the sister who actually, blessed me with these books, she told me she has a master's in theology. Now you imagine a person who has a master's in theology, who now has been awakened to this truth. You know how much knowledge, understanding you could get from someone like that. But see, many people in our nation are like, well, she's a woman. She doesn't know anything. She needs to be quiet. This, and that. See, that's when you need to learn how to open up your ears and sit down and listen and learn. I said, I've been blessed with many very intelligent, smart women that have definitely helped me in this walk. And even more so, even at this time, there's many women that have been put in my path that have definitely been of huge influence to bring me to this point. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge the women who have been helping. And they all help in different ways. Whatever way the Most High wants them to help, He gives them the tools to be able to help. And I definitely want to make sure that I acknowledge all of the beautiful women that have actually been helping as well. because like I said, this is not something that us men are going to do on our own. But see, that's when you come into this understanding, that's what they try to teach you, that it's all going to be just the men, the men, the men, and the women aren't going to have any role whatsoever. But see, in that movie, they're showing you that only by coming together are we going to become the powerful nation that the Most High wants us to be. The Most High used this sister right here. She was going to give these books to GOCC. GOCC did not follow through, so she had them waiting. The Holy Spirit said for her to bring those to me. So that, and I was already talking about Og. And one of the first things that this book is talking about is Og and giving us more information as a nation about, his interactions and his dealings with Abraham. And I'm sure I've actually already found quite a few other nuggets I'm going to be bringing out, as well as other things I've been bringing out. It's just so much information. And then I go and see the Star Wars movie. And it shows how they're going, Kylo Ren and Rey are going at it and fighting this and that. And eventually they come together. And only through coming together is that, is their true power manifested. And that's exactly what was going on right now. And now, as you can see, the whole thing has been to keep us away, the men and women, apart from each other. Keep them from realizing their worth as a whole, as a collective. And it was something that he said something about that in the movie, about it being a diadem or something like that. But it seems like as coming together, if they come together, they're powerful enough to take out the emperor. But as long as they're separated and fighting with each other, they have no power. That's what I got out of the movie. And I'm sure there's actually some more things that were in there. I'm just not going to go through the whole thing. I don't want to get a copyright strike by talking about the movie too much or something, I said, but it's just, I wanted to bring this information out real quick. There will be definitely a lot more information coming out from a lot of different sources right now. Just trying to get some of these glitches together here, taken care of with this computer, and finding out, what's going on and why it's not working, things like that. But it's just amazing. So we got some more information about Og and about him talking, trying to get Abraham killed so that he could have Sarah. I said, so there's a reason as to why all this information about these giants and all these supernatural activity at this time, back then, has been hidden. Why they hid all these bones that were found here in the Americas. So, but now is the time that the Most High is going to be revealing much of these secrets and bringing a lot of this information out. All praise is to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.